Season 9 Episode 1, titled Orb from Adventure Time, is massively underrated and one of the most thought-provoking episodes of Adventure Time. I just feel like it doesn't get talked about enough compared to the likes of Hall of Egress or Jake the Brick. There's still a lot to decipher from this episode, and in this video, I'm going to try my very best to make sense of it. But first, I need to bring up an important term that is used a lot throughout the entire episode: foreshadowing. Basically, foreshadowing means when the writers give you hints or clues about what's going to happen in the future, and Adventure Time is no stranger to foreshadow. But this episode does it a lot, which you might be able to pick up on as I give you the little recap of this episode. So let's jump in. But first, if you're new to my channel or you've seen it before, please subscribe. In all seriousness, if you enjoy Adventure Time or my content in general, hit the subscribe button. It really helps. But for this time, let's jump in. The episode opens post-Hub Island drama with Finn, Jake, and BMO floating back home on their boat. It's bedtime and BMO's on story duty, but instead of an epic tale, our little robot gets distracted by a strange cloud tailing them.
There is a strange cloud following us. Come and see.
It's fine. I'm sure ominous clouds following adventure boats at sea are super normal. Anyway, BMO's short story is apparently so captivating they all snooze off. On to the dream sequence buffet. We start with Jake's sitcom-styled homecoming dream. His dad Joshua and brother Jermaine make an appearance.
I can see where this is going.
Yes, you heard it right. Jermaine's dream share. Jermaine's taken up landscape painting because nothing screams adventurous dream like a hobby in stationary artistry. Jake proposes a collab, but Jermaine firmly shuts it down.
That's not really my scene, man. I'm into real things.
Transitioning to Finn's dream, it's a joyride in the sky where water nymphs apparently sculpt cloud art in their free time.
I made these cloud sculptures for you.
Yes! We've got Minerva's head, a Finn sword, and a Jake head. Now if that doesn't scream, I need therapy, I don't know what does. Jake's head turns out to be the dream equivalent of a cloud club, hosting Party God and some bananas. Maybe it's just Finn's subconscious fear of running out of boat bananas. Or maybe it's something way deeper, but more on that later. Now onto BMO's dream, which is like a fever dream crossed between a surreal talk show and Food Network. BMO's directing a sitcom with Mobots as actors and food items as the audience.
I love art.
But before you think it's all about BMO's dream of fame, look closer. BMO doesn't interact with its reflection as it's coming up the elevator, which is super weird. The entire series we've seen BMO interact with its reflection as football, but this time it's different. This will be a key point later on, so keep your detective glasses on. As we get a little intro to these crazy dreams to come, we cut back to the trio sleeping on the boat. Now I hope you're ready for this twist. The strange cloud is actually a creepy black orb.
Good night, weird orb.
It's hovering over our sleeping trio. Things just got real, or as real as they can get in a dream sequence. Now let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this episode and try to make sense of what some of these dream sequences mean for our lovable main characters Finn, Jake, and BMO. This is where Jake's dream sequence catapults us from quirky to holy cow. Did the writers fall into an existential crisis mid-script? This time, Jake and his brother Jermaine find themselves on a puzzling quest by their dad Joshua to dig a hole in the kitchen. What's this supposed to symbolize? A subconscious deep dive into their lives or identities, their untapped purposes? But hey, let's remember, it's in the kitchen, the belly of the home, indicating that this quest might be hitting them right in the feels. As they're digging, they spot mysterious footprints on the ceiling. This might suggest Jake grappling with unresolved questions, possibly related to his extraterrestrial background. They're on the ceiling, implying Jake might need a step stool or, a new perspective to solve these riddles. Then plot twist. They've accidentally buried their dad in the hole they dug. Now I know we've all wanted to bury our problems before, but this is next level. Is this an unconscious desire to bury the past, or are they feeling the weight of their dad's expectations? Or maybe it's just guilt for literally burying their father in the kitchen floor. Next up, they spot their mother Margaret whipping up a delightful bowl of worms. The creepy crawly cookery could highlight Jake's fear of stirring up his deeply buried anxieties. Margaret cradling Jake, however, swiftly goes from a Hallmark moment to a Halloween nightmare as she morphs into the moon and starts to snack on his blood. This might signify Jake's fear of his mom going from nurturing to nightmarish. Also, let's not forget, Margaret isn't Jake's birth mother, leading to a whole therapy session worth of damage for Jake. Jermaine then decides he's had enough and jumps ship, fleeing into his painting, symbolizing his decision to abandon the burdens and expectations associated with his family to pursue his personal path of self-actualization. Remember, he did let the family house burn down without so much as a bucket of water. Jake, though, stays put, now appearing very old and wrinkly. He's obviously paying the price for trying to meet his father's expectations. In the final act of this domestic drama, we see a diplomatic completed Jake looking as though he'd been run over by a bus of emotional turmoil, whimpering at his beaming parents. His desperation for approval and fear of disappointing his parents is palpable, emphasizing the alienation he feels due to his unique heritage. I feel like Jake is in constant approval from his parents because he feels like he isn't actually their child. Yes, he was birthed by Joshua, but I feel like he feels that he'll always just be an alien to them. He'll never be a real pup like Jermaine, and I think he always wants to prove to his parents that he could be a normal pup. But as the scene concludes, we're left with Jake looking as emotionally hungover as ever, wrestling with the anxieties of who he is and where he's heading. Or maybe he's just upset that he ruined the kitchen floor. You know, either or. But get your popcorn ready, folks, because Finn's dream is back for round 2. This time, he bumps into PB, our lovable bubblegum monarch. Now, if you've been keeping track, you'll remember that the last time Finn had mastered the art of dream flight. However, this time, he's stuck. He can't fly in front of PB like he could literally minutes ago. Not only that, but some grass roots from him start wrapping around his feet. Maybe they symbolize Finn's lingering attachments to PB and Ooh. Despite being an adventurer, the grass roots, quite literally, keep pulling him back home. Remember when Finn declined the Comet's offer for an existential makeover in the Comet episode? As Finn put it,
I feel like I put a lot of work into this meat reality. I'd like to see it through.
Now that's what I call commitment. Or, you know, maybe it's that grass guy. Yeah, Fern. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about the grass roots in the comments. In the dream, like I said before, he fails to impress PB with his flyboy antics, perhaps exposing a lingering fear of inadequacy. Is he forever doomed to be the little boy who could never quite make the grade in PB's eyes? Maybe it's old relationship baggage, or maybe he's just terrified of not living up to the expectations of those he loves. That's pretty deep. Next, PB's dental drama unfolds. This could suggest a classic stress dream scenario. Losing teeth is often seen as a symbol for powerlessness or loss of control, and considering PB's in charge of an entire kingdom, she might want to consider a mouth guard. Could Finn be stressed about the future of the Candy Kingdom and PB's ability to rule? His frantic efforts to reattach her teeth could reflect his fear of failing in his duty as the guardian, or his struggle to understand PB's actions and their impact on the kingdom. Suddenly, Finn gets swallowed by the ground. Wait, backrooms reference? Finn is in the backrooms, confirmed. Candy Pixels Adventure Time Pit? Sorry, I'll stop. But Bemo's dream isn't over yet either, and Bemo's dream might be the most odd. Sorry, that's a lie. Jake's dream is still the most odd. So remember how Bemo's dream started with a dramatic performance by 2 Mobots cosplaying Finn and Jake, painting a future that looked grimmer than a rainy Monday without Bemo? This might just be Bemo's egocentric subconscious craving to be the hero his friends can't do without. It also highlights Bemo's aspirations to direct the course of his world, or maybe just pull the strings behind an epic puppet show. Same thing, really. However, dreams, much like my bank account balance, often have a darker side. Enter Amo, Bemo's evil sibling. Amo gatecrashes the dream drama, impersonating Bemo, serving as a hot plate of Bemo's fears. The core fear, turning into an A-grade, self-centered jerk like Amo. If his desire for importance ran rampant, the plot thickens when Football and Amo, disguised as false directors, take the helm, reflecting Bemo's worry that his dark side might run the show. Remember when I said that Football wasn't in the reflection earlier? Well, this is it. It turns out Football is an entirely different being in Bemo's dream. The dream turns into a symbolic parade, featuring everything from Jake's aging to a cameo from the lich-faced Amo. This could signal Bemo's fear of the unstoppable ticking clock and the persistent lurking of evil. Particularly the Lich, taking control of Bemo in Dreamland, could be a nod towards Sweet Pea's future role in the narrative. We know 2 sweet characters could cause such drama. Also, let's not ignore the dream's nods to Bemo's innocence, like his whimsical snack food landscape. Considering Bemo doesn't need to eat and that food can't talk, these delectable elements are a testament to his pure imagination and the unique way he views the world. And here's where things kick up a notch. All of their dreams intersect, turning into a joint nightmare. Instead of Bemo directing 2 Mobots playing Finn and Jake, now we've got the actual Finn and Jake on stage under Bemo's control. It's like an Adventure Time dreamception. Now we're back in the Dreamscape where Jake's grappling with becoming a relic. On stage, the Mo declares,
Your brother's gonna have to step up his game to keep up with you, or everyone's gonna know you're too old to play Jake.
But I am Jake.
a brutal reminder of Jake's fear that growing older means losing his swag. After all, no one wants to be seen as that guy who's trying too hard to be hip. Add to that the fact that his best bud Finn, who usually looks up to Jake for guidance, is growing up faster than he is. It's like running a race where Finn's zooming ahead and Jake's just puffing behind. Then plot twist, they all realize they're co-starring in the same night and the ground beneath them crumbles. As they plunge into this abyss, foreshadowing the impending elemental chaos, we see some Easter eggs that might have slipped under your radar. Take a closer look when the floor smashes, and you'll see a red figure on the moon to the left. What? Gold? Is that you, buddy? Then there's the Fire Kingdom volcano with ears suspiciously like Finn's hat and a blindfold across its face. A shout out to the Hall of Egress episode, perhaps? As they're free falling, this creepy eye cloud floats around them. Finn MacGyver's a dress and batwings onto the cloud, which promptly sprouts limbs and halts their plummet. This turns out to be Nightmare Princess, who apparently is the reason for this slumber party from their nightmares. After this, the Dreamscape just goes nuts with weird visuals. Like when Finn labels her as some kind of nightmare princess, we're suddenly surrounded by a crab-like invasion. This might be a throwback to the Breezy episode, where Finn copes with his lost arm by smooching a ton of princesses, and he starts with Crab Princess. That side of Finn, they used all these princesses as just a way to get over his arm, is a nightmare for him, and something that he never wants to go back to. Another intriguing scene is when Bimo starts growing up while laying in his bed, quickly outgrows it, and then shrinks back down. This could be Bimo's nightmare of growing up and growing apart from Finn and Jake. Honestly, there's a buttload more symbolism in this segment, and I won't pretend to understand it all, kind of like how I feel about modern art, but hey, if you have any theories, please drop them in the comments below. As we wave goodbye to the fever dream that was this episode, Nightmare Princess requests all the bananas on the ship. Bimo, in a business move that could rival any Wall Street tycoon, trades them for something
Pretty and or cool.
We snap back to reality, the orb goes all Kirby on the remaining bananas and, in true infomercial fashion, hands Finn some mysterious concoction before floating off. And oh boy, does this end up stirring the pot in the finale. Suddenly, Jake spots what he thinks is ooh in the yonder, but when Bimo plays pirate with the spyglass, the landscape is far from familiar. Finn asks what's out there, Bimo replies,
Like a dream.
and just like that, folks, we're strapped in for the Elements mini-series. This episode, amply named Orb, is basically Adventure Time's equivalent of a psyche evaluation, diving into our favorite characters' deepest worries, desires, and fears via the psychedelic expressway of their dreams. The narrative depth, interwoven foreshadowing, and symbolism make it clear that Adventure Time is far from your average kids show, unless your average kids show involves existential crises and prophetic nightmares. And yet, this episode often gets overshadowed by big hitters like Hall of Egress or Jake the Brick. It's a hidden gem, a reminder of Adventure Time's rightful place in the pantheon of stories that make you think, feel, and possibly question your sanity. Do you agree or disagree with the interpretations I've presented in this video? What do you think about how Finn, Jake, and Bimo react to their individual dreams? What in the heck do the footprints mean? Do you think this leads to any conclusions about the overarching themes of Adventure Time? Or does it raise more questions than answers? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below, because I genuinely look forward to hearing your perspective and continuing this conversation about what makes Adventure Time a truly timeless animation. I haven't really been happy with the videos I've been putting out recently, so I really needed to step back and just make a video that I enjoy making. And that's why this one is a lot longer than my normal ones. Thank you all for sticking with me on this wild ride. With this new clarity of mind, I have so many more ideas I want to make videos on. So please subscribe. You really won't want to miss it. But as always, my friends, stay adventurous.